All right. So we already talked about the AOL scamming people, and we talked about, you sort of talked about Google charging $20 a point number to Google Voice.
Actually, we haven't talked about that at all yet.
Well, you kind of referenced it, right? When you're talking about the $20 get a number.
Well, I referenced it here in the notes. I hadn't actually said anything about it yet.
Okay, well, we could talk about that, and I guess we could do two Google things. So we'll do that, and then the do not track.
Okay. Since you've talked about the $20 thing, let's go into the $20 thing. What do we think on this? Because this is actually the prime argument for federal regulation. Like, this is the thing. There's two schools of thought when it comes to neutrality and one is we need federal regulators to be breathing down everybody's neck and going, no, you can't do that. No. And the other hand is laissez-faire, leave it all alone. Regulators don't drive up the cost of shit. Just stay the hell away, leave it alone. And here we have Google, the Don't Be Evil company, charging people a $20 fee to port their phone number, something that federal law prohibits any phone company from doing because of federal regulation. That is a bit of a contradiction right there. You
wait.
Whatever you just said.
They prohibit you number. Are you there?
I'm here, but you're breaking up. Say what you said again.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Anyway, what I don't understand. So I'm able to transfer my number when I switch telecom. So what do you mean they can't do it?
No. Okay, I'll give you an example. If I'm on Sprint and I've got like $100, let's say I'm on Sprint and I have a $1,500 bill that's due 3 days from now. I go to AT&T. I go, I'd like to port my number over to AT&T. Sprint is not only not allowed to charge me any kind of fee for AT&T to assume control of the phone number, but they're not allowed to delay it. They're not allowed to hold up moving of it. They can't say, well, we got this $1,500 bill. You kind of got to pay that before we allow AT&T to take over this number. They're forbidden by the federal government from doing that. It's not allowed. They cannot charge a fee to AT&T to assume control of it. AT&T cannot charge me a fee to get it. None of these things can happen. They're forbidden. When numbers shifting around first started happening, this is what they started doing, and then the federal regulators came in and said, no. People want to move their number, people move their number. Y'all cannot charge any fees, you can't hold it up, you can't do anything. That's what civil courts are for. You're not allowed to do this. So as a result, moving numbers just became a yes, okay, number moved.
Well, Google's, Google Voice is a different, kind of service. It connects to a bunch of different devices and it connects to different phone numbers. So they can say it.
Well, no, and I'm not complaining about charging differently and doing that. The thing that's in dispute here is here's how it works. Say I wanted to move the phone number that's tied to this G1 on the AT&T network. Say I wanted to make that my Google Voice number. Google's going to charge me $20 to do that. They're going to charge me $20 to assume control of this phone number from AT&T. No telephone company is allowed to do that. I just go, do you want to keep, they say, do you want to keep your existing number? If so, who is it with? Yeah, they make me fill out paperwork and stuff, but they're not allowed to charge me a $20 move your number fee. Google is charging a $20 move your number to us fee. Now, granted, the end user is not scuffing at this. I'm sure millions of people have already done this. I'm sure millions more will. But the telecom industry is going, what the fuck? We're not allowed to do this. Why is Google? Well, because Google isn't a telecom, at least in the eyes of the regulators. And it's the thing here is, in all likelihood, this is something the telecom lobbyists are going to use against Google to try and get Google, labeled a utility and regulated under the same telecom cable company yada yada rules, which they want, because Google is allowed to do a shitload of things they aren't right now, which gives Google a real competitive advantage. They want that advantage gone. I personally think the end user should be scuffing at this a little bit, but it's $20. The reality is 90% of people aren't going to care about $20.
Well, I mean, because they don't. I'm sure that the reason they're not upset about the $20 is they don't see the $20. They see, when they go to a different phone company, they're already paying, $400 for the new contracts, their new plan, their new phones. They're not seeing, that they're not paying for this. So when they go to Google and they get their phone number there, they're like, oh, well, this is way cheaper.
Right. Well, no, I say that's the thing, and it's a way for Google to resume their costs. I'm not necessarily scoffing at the $20. It's one of those things, you have to kind of look at it, what it's a fee for, a little odd. And if Google wanted the $20, they could go... They could have just made it like an administrative fee. They could have reclassified it so that it's not actually a fee for what it's a fee for. And like so many other places do. Well, that's not actually a tax. That's a processing fee. It's like so on and so forth. But Google's actually being very transparent about what the fee's for, and like you say, the end user's still paying less. But I think this is a bullet that's gone in the gun to be fired against Google, and I have mixed feelings about whether or not it should be, because for all the reasons you're saying, at the end of the day, the end user's still money ahead, but they are paying for something they wouldn't have to anywhere else. It's kind of a thing.
Well, all right. So. How are people going to enforce the do not track features?
Well, from what I understand, it's basically just been added to the browsers. You're referring to the... I'm not even seeing this. I know I put it in here.
From what I understand, does the do not track just turn off JavaScript and turn off, that stuff? Because, as far as do not track, is it just a legal thing? How are they going to know?
Well, okay, it's the reality is, there's some vagueness in how effective this thing's actually going to be. It's being equated in this article to the do not call list, which is a fair analogy, and that basically, when you enable this feature, it's supposed to be like the do not call list. If I go to the do not call list and I register my phone number, people aren't supposed to call me. If I register my IP with this,
people aren't supposed to track you.
People aren't supposed to track me.
But of course they still could.
Actually enforcing it is going to be a different matter altogether. Now the browser is supposed to help somewhat, but the reality is,
here's the problem.
A hacker could get around this, and I see companies who are really about nefariously tracking you in really ominous ways doing just that. They're not going to care that it's illegal.
From what I know of programming in the internet, I don't see why you would even need to be a hacker to get around this, because phone do not call list. The reason that works is when you're getting a phone call, right? But to simply connect to the internet, you have to basically give out your number to every site, your IP. That's just to connect to the site, so it's able to send you the data over HTTP and back and forth like that.
Well, and
if they store that data or not, nobody has any way of knowing. You know when somebody calls you. However, when you connect to a site, you don't know if they're keeping that IP for later.
Well, no, and that's the thing. Really, this is really the honor system. Ad is not universal. It's for ad networks. If you enable this feature, the people who wouldn't track you wouldn't be like nefarious company XYZ. It would be, if you're logged into your Google account, AdSense would not track you from site to site to site to site to site. Instead, it would, because if you notice, if you go to anywhere where there's AdSense and you're logged into your Google account, any activity you've done in Google in the last 30 or 90 days starts directing what kind of AdSense ads show up on that site, whether they have anything to do with that site or not. What this feature would do is it would turn that off. So those AdSense ads would be using the alternative algorithm to go, well, this site is about beach balls, so you must be interested in beach balls, inflators, sun, yada yada, and so forth. You know, it would use that algorithm instead of your Google behavior to generate the ads. And that's the only thing this Do Not Track's for. It's for the ad networks. It's for the participating ad networks. So really, at the end of the day, that's not the kind of tracking I'm really afraid of. It's like,
yeah, I know, and that's so true. And it's, yeah, because I mean, the do not call list, as I said, you know if somebody called you, if somebody who you don't want to call you calls you.
Well, not necessarily. Easy. The thing that telemarketers have been doing, and the harassograms as of late have been doing, is they've been spoofing IDs, and that they'll call you, but it's somebody else's number. So it's not really their number. That's so.
But even still, when you receive a call because you talk,
Yeah, or choose not to answer.
It's like the do not call list is like the do not punch me in the face list. When somebody does that. But the do not track list is the do not take secret photos of me list. You could be walking, you don't know if a bunch of people just took a photo of you. You have no idea because you have no reaction to it. No, nothing happens to you. It's just them saving data that they need to see in the first place. They just don't need to keep it, but you don't know if they did or not. So that's it's.
Well, because you have no idea what that server on the other end's logging or any of the nodes in between. It's like
exactly.
you honestly have no clue. Just like theoretically, if you want to go completely tinfoil hat, there could be a satellite in orbit pointing a laser at my window, hearing every word we say. If somebody wants to invest that many resources into focusing on what I'm doing, good for them. I hope they're enjoying the conversation. But yeah, like you said, honestly, you have no clue. And what's scarier about this, to be perfectly honest?
I'm interested in what this.
Okay, whatever you just said broke up. You said you're interested in.
I was saying that I'm also interested in what they're specifically stopping. What kind of tracking are they stopping? Because, like you said, with the ad tracking, there's nothing really wrong with that kind of tracking. It's very beneficial for you. It's beneficial for the company. It doesn't really cost me any trouble. I can understand why somebody wouldn't want that, but it's not the real, it's not the real bad thing about tracking.
Yeah. And that's really the only thing this is blocking right now.
There's legitimate reasons to save your IP.
Well, it's so it can track you around, and the ads stay on target. Because otherwise the only way the ads would stay on target, or at least what Google believes is on target, I have a strong disagreement, is that it always annoys me if I Google something, then everywhere there's AdSense, I start seeing ads for that. I'm like, this was a one-time inquiry just on a point of debate. I really have no interest in this at all. Stop showing me ads on it. It's like, I would turn this feature on just to stop that bullshit. But like you say, it's not really.
It's not that dangerous.
It's not that dangerous. What's more creepy about this is what this won't protect you from is like all of a sudden, and the reality is everybody, including Google, and this recently became public knowledge, although people in the industry have known this for a while. The reality is, if anybody's keeping a database, whether it's the cell phone companies, Google, and Google falls in this list too, Apple's on, Microsoft's on, all of these people have this is the fee it takes for us to give you this without a warrant. If you can, to a reasonable degree of certainty, convince us that you're law enforcement. They have a private database for law enforcement people, and what this is the fee. This is just the tax. Give us this much money, and we'll give you this information because you're law enforcement and you think you need it without a warrant, without a court order, without a warrant, without a wiretap order. Just here you go, have access. Now, technically, that information is not supposed to be admissible. Whether or not it winds up being is anyone's guess. And they're supposed to be law enforcement to get access to this by the information database. My concern with that isn't so much that the police are doing that, because, like I said, technically it's supposed to be inadmissible in court. So if that's their only evidence against me, technically I should be able to walk free if I can afford a lawyer that can point the unconstitutionality of that out. My public defender isn't going to do that, but if I can afford a lawyer that could, and if I'm really doing nefarious crap, I have mixed feelings about I'm guilty of sin, but on this technicality I'm going to walk free crappedness. And I can understand where, like in an Amber Alert situation, time becomes an issue. Okay, let me track the phone. Let me sign, even though it's inadmissible, yada yada and so forth. My concern, though, is like there is no cop who has a bad day and goes and stalks his ex-wife or her ex-husband or partner or whatever. Like this never happens. Yeah. Right. And if they go through the process of a warrant and shit, it kind of sets up red flags. If they just pay the administrative fee, I can harass the hell out of somebody and there's nothing they can do about it. That's the aspect of that I have a problem with. We need a little bit more of the police to be making sure those abuses don't happen. And unfortunately, that process does remove almost every check and balance to keep that abuse from happening.
All right. You want to go to Q&A? There's some interesting Q&A.
Well, some of these I don't want to do right now. Which Q&A did you find interesting?
This one. I don't know what.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Somebody posted on one of the videos. Yes, we should address that one. The other ones we'll leave alone because I don't know if we're going to miss those or not. But yeah, somebody posted this. I love the start of this show. May I use the first few seconds as a ringtone, please? I don't know if this person was being sarcastic. There's a thing here because I don't edit out glitches here. Unless they're just, oh dear God, glitches like the internet crashed for an hour and it took us forever to get a show done. I'll cut that down to like 30 seconds or something so y'all don't have to watch an hour of dead air. But I don't edit, like when we start recording here, it goes da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. To be honest, the glitchedness is almost becoming a character in and of itself of the content here, unintentionally.
Wait, that's the start of the little da-da-da-da-da?
I think that's what they're talking about, because I went and played the video they posted that on. I went and played that video they posted that on, and I'm like, well, okay, yeah, the first few seconds are that da-da-da-da-da. I think every video actually winds up starting with something like that.
That's your little startup thing, This Week in Linux has the little
completely unintentional. Apparently, yeah, I wasn't even focusing on it. The things people focus on in this content is weird. If this person was being serious, I don't care. Have fun at it. Rip it off a YouTube shot. You know what? I'll even put it on, if you're actually serious. I'll even put it on some website somewhere for you to download as an MP3. I can cut that out. That's no problem.
The ringtonethatsucks.com.
Yeah, the ringtone that sucks. Why not? I think they were just making fun of the glitch, to be honest. I think this is. My guess is. Here's the problem with comments, and this happens a lot, and I honestly never can be sure. There is an overwhelming amount of sarcasm in the comments here when it comes to things like this. You know, like people will go, boy, this show sucks, and they're making fun of the channel name inside. It's like, they don't really mean it sucks. What they forget is satire does not translate in text. Wow, this really sucks. This really sucks, man. It's like the inflection of the voice makes a huge difference, and unfortunately, that's entirely lost in text. It's one of the reasons I prefer to actually talk, especially on dynamic things, rather than just say them in the comments, because it's like being sarcastic back and forth very quickly turns into
yeah.
Without meaning to, because somebody skin can get too thick. They had a bad day, something. Like, more than once I've seen Leo in the comments. They're like, somebody makes a sarcastic comment. I know they're being sarcastic because this is somebody who's made jokes in the PMs all the time. Somebody else attacks them. So, hello. And on that, James.
You lost me. Yes.
I did lose you for a second. You froze.
Hello? What'd you say? And on that, James what?
I was going to say, and on that James freeze, I guess we'll stop unless there's something else in here we want to go into. We are over an hour, 3 parts.
Oh, I want to stop by blowing up the can.
Okay, blow out the can.
And then you can see my face disappear. Alright, ready for this?
Oh, you really were by campfire. Damn.
Alright, ready?
Alright.
And there we are.
And there we are. Stand by.